What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Mo Buckets Podcast. My name is Hoodie Ben. To my right, we got the Vision. Frankie Vision, was good?
What's good, everybody? Hope you're surviving in this cold weather out there.
Bro, it's too cold.
It's warming up.
It's
warming up.
Dude, it was negative 30 this week, man. Yeah. When was the last time we see negative 30 Celsius?
Yo, if you're in Toronto, Chicago, all these cold states, man, yo, I feel you. We feel you, man. We're in that same freezing weather together, man. And then beside him, we got Magic Mitch. Was good?
What up, what up?
All right, man. Yo, so guys, amongst all this cold weather, we had some heat come down, yo, from the trading blocks this week. Yo, you guys heard anything news? Anything crazy?
Yo, let's just get straight into it, man. This was a shocker for the league. Kristaps Porzingis, the 7-foot unicorn, has officially been traded. The Knicks sound those horns. The Knicks get Dennis Smith Jr., Wesley Matthews, DeAndre Jordan, and 2 future first-round picks in 2021 and 2023. In return, Dallas gets Kristaps Porzingis, Courtney Lee, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Trey Burke. Now, I don't know about you guys, man, but I was at work when this was going on, and everything just dropped. Like, I remember, first you see this rumor roll up. I was like, okay, he might, that wasn't surprising. No one wants to be in the Knicks, right? To him actually flipping off the deal.
So quick.
It was like what, like 30, 45 minutes or so?
It was crazy, right? From the initial rumor to there was a meeting happening to, something I don't like to be here. I don't necessarily like the direction. Like, none of these things are new, right? None of these things are new. To all of a sudden, they actually pull off this trade.
I think something's going on.
But the thing is, so you knew New York had this in the back pocket.
Oh,
they had
to have.
trade
there's no way this just happened that quickly.
Yeah, they don't.
But guys, man, what do we think about this? Like, we've had a few days of process now. This took place on a Thursday afternoon. It is now Saturday. We've had a few days to just let it sink in. What are your first thoughts, man?
I don't know what the Knicks are doing. Like, to me, the only way they did this trade is if they know more than everyone else knows.
They don't know jack.
Exactly.
But
so I don't understand.
The only way this makes sense, like, no matter how I wrap my head around this, there's got to be some unwritten agreement somewhere. Like, there's got to be some type of unspoken rule between a bunch of players that we're gonna trade away the unicorn, like our only hope in years, to clear cap space. Like, right? There's no other way to look at this, right? The only reason why they pulled out this trade was to clear cap space on the Knicks end.
But
it was also on the heels of what Dennis Smith Jr. dropping that triple-double on them. So they could have bought high on him, but
they could have drafted Dennis Smith Jr. They could have drafted Dennis Smith Jr. And again, right, this is a 7-foot unicorn, man. Like, Chris, I get he's injured. There's a lot yet to be seen because he's injured. But this guy was the best hope in years for the Knicks. And ultimately, if you look at how this shaped out, it's really a salary-shedding move for the Knicks. There's no other way to put it, right? There's Dennis Smith Jr., maybe. Okay, you might hold on to him in a few years. DeAndre Jordan, he's gone after this year. Wesley Matthews, you're not going to keep him either. The 2 future firsts, maybe they'll be worth something, but Knicks have not shown that they draft well. So
so essentially that clears up cap space for 2 max players that they're going to try to get this offseason.
But see, here's the thing, right? Like, I agree. I think that there's some sort of other sort of shenanigans going on in the background. Like, they have to have some sort of some agent told them something of, hey, if you clear 2 max spaces, my guy will come, right? And you have to get another max guy here. Mm-hmm. But they can't write that down. They can't sign anything, or else that's completely illegal, right? In the NBA, you can't do that. So they're really just banking on everything being, it's just a verbal thing. If this is what's happening, right? It's only a verbal agreement.
You can't for sure. You can't this can't be written down. But we've seen some crazy things.
But would you trust? So that's the thing. If someone just told you, "Hey, I'm going to go do this for you," until I do it,
but the thing is, okay,
trust that.
Here's the question though. Out of all the players, the marquee names that the Knicks are trying to get, do you really think it's either KD, AD, Kyrie? Do you really think those guys have given some kind of indication that they're going to sign with the Knicks, though?
I would. That's the thing. If you made this trade as the Knicks, you have to have had something.
I can't.
But this whole situation is such it's such a Knicks move, man. Like,
it is such a Knicks move.
They've been trying to go after LeBron since 2010. These guys went all
Not
in. They're
gonna
like, yo,
happen.
we're gonna get D Wade, we're gonna get LeBron, we're gonna get freaking what? Paul George. They tried to get everybody, and every single year it's the same old song, same old. We got cap space. We're gonna bring people in. They don't,
You know who the last big free agent they got was Amare in 2010.
and he was good for what, one season.
One season,
One
and then he
season.
dropped off.
And he broke his hand going into the playoffs.
and his knees like went out. But that's the thing though. Like they have, and that's what baffles I think all of our minds. Like they drafted KP. First of all, this guy, nobody liked him. Like everybody hated on him when they first drafted him. But this guy turns out to be the unicorn of the NBA. 7'3", shoot from anywhere. He's got skills, got playmaking skills. Like, why don't you just try to keep building around him? Like, I understand that he's disgruntled. He came out of that apparently 5-minute meeting saying that, like he doesn't see himself with the Knicks anymore. You don't have to trade him right away. Like,
The other thing too is he was going to be a restricted free agent.
yeah,
Which
exactly.
meant that no matter what, the Knicks could have signed him, kept him, and then traded him. Because then now you're trading him on a deal for multiple years. So any team would be like, well, he can't just leave.
I did see one argument that I think for us is kind of hard to see. The question is whether or not you think Kristaps Porzingis is healthy. He's a 7-footer. He's had a litany of injuries. This one, the last one, the most major so far. But history has shown, man, 7-footers of his size, speed, and strength, they're not, they're not the most sturdy, right? And that's the only silver lining to the Knicks is what if they know something that we don't? What if Kristaps is actually
hurt still.
hurt or injury prone? What if he's like a future Brandon Roy? What if he's a future Greg Oden, right? These are the only reason I can see them also like being incentivized to trade him now is that there's still uncertainty, right? Like he's coming off of an ACL injury. He's only 23, all the potential in the world. I think there's all the potential in the world. Unless they were able, to
If they knew.
concretely say that this guy, future outlook is not great, maybe you make that trade.
Yo,
But
Frankie.
I don't know.
Frankie, you're the expert, yo. You tell us.
I'm
Is he ready? Is his ACL ready?
Based on the ACL
timelines?
timeline, okay, he's been out for a full year now.
Almost a year.
A full year. I was thinking he should be back to game shape, man. Like you look at Dejounte Murray, surgery early September. He's already back doing jump shots. You see him doing dribbling drills already. That's like 3-4
It's
months
different
out.
though, right? Like again, he's 7'3".
Everyone's different. That is true.
He's 7'3".
But he was running in September. Like Kristaps posted a picture of him sprinting on the track in September.
but-
It's been another like 4 or 5 months now.
See, even the thing is, even if that's the case, right? It's say that the Knicks know he's not 100% healthy. Even if that's the case, I would imagine that this is not the best deal that the Knicks would have been able to get for
Oh,
him.
for sure not,
right?
man.
Like,
for sure.
Again, the fact that this happened within 45 minutes, maybe it took them that long to put this deal together, and they just were like, okay, let's do it. But the fact that they did it this quick,
Yeah.
they could have literally held on and been like, hey, tell the rest of the league, we're putting him up for trade. You could have probably got way better deals in this.
Okay, so I mean, let's get into this then. Well, how would you grade from the Knicks side? What kind of grade would you give them?
From the Knicks, what's the lowest you can give them? Is it an F?
An F.
Okay, to be
Incomplete.
okay, this is the thing, okay? We might all look stupid if at the beginning of next season they have Kyrie and KD on the team. If they do, then they were ahead of us, right? And we were all wrong. But based on how this looks right now, I don't think that's going to happen. I really think at the end of the day, they made a terrible deal, and they almost made a panic deal. I feel like there's a button, they were panicking, and they just pressed that button because they were afraid that, we're going to look bad if someone says they don't like playing for the Knicks, and they just panicked. I got to give them if I can give them an F as the lowest score, I think I'll give them an F. Because this was the one hope you've had as a franchise. And so this is even worse than Jeremy Lin. Like, the whole Jeremy Lin situation I get was bad. They definitely messed that up. But Kristaps Porzingis is a legit 7-foot unicorn. Like, you guys actually did the right thing once in drafting the right player, and to let him go for salary space,
Yeah.
it just I can't rationalize, man. I can't. So I got to, at the end of the day, man, Knicks, you guys messed up. I got to give you guys an F for this. Get back at me, man. I don't know what's going on.
So for me, as obviously, this was a huge Knicks move. This is a traditional. This is what they
Knicks
do.
all written all over it.
They haven't re-signed a first-round pick that they've drafted since 1994. That's like
who
14
that?
years ago,
Charlie-
15
Charlie
years
Ward?
ago. Charlie Ward, 15 years ago, was the last guy that they
It's
drafted
crazy,
that they
man. It's
re-signed to
crazy.
another contract. Like, again, we don't know if KP is healthy, but no matter what, just from a trade negotiation standpoint,
Yeah.
this has to be an F. Like, if I'm a Knicks fan, I don't know. I'm burning my jersey. I don't know. Like I'm giving that up. I'm auctioning off my fandom to on eBay. Like I can't. I don't know.
I feel for those Knicks fans, man. I feel for you guys, man.
And I agree with all you guys. I'm giving the Knicks an F. The craziest part is that James Dolan, all of upper management, still believes that they did the right thing. They've even come out publicly to say, "Hey, you know what? We didn't want to commit. We didn't want to give a max contract to someone that didn't want to commit to the franchise." And theoretically, you're right, but you didn't have to make this move. Like,
not now, at least not now, right? There's no reason to
even look at how even look at how the Pelicans are doing it with AD, right? Like they're smart. They're taking their time. They're saying we're gonna do this on our timeline, dude. 45 minutes after you've had a 5-minute conversation with KP, that's not on your timeline.
Do you think that so when the Knicks put out there, oh, KP wants to be traded? Do you think that's real?
Do you think?
Do you think that Woj put out that tweet saying, "Oh, KP's like he's leaning towards leaving or not re-signing," and then this trade happens 30, 40 minutes later. Do you think that trade demand is real?
No, I think
Do you think Knicks made that up?
And we saw KP post afterwards saying that the truth is going to come out. I think there's definitely more to the story, man. I want to say, like, I don't want to write no conspiracies or anything, but I even want to think that the Knicks were pushing KP out, and that
I think they were pushing each other out. Let's be real, man. Like KP probably went into that. Like KP probably went into that conversation, looks around and be like, "Dude, this place has got no future." All he's got to do is go to management and say, "I don't like being here. I don't like the decision. Like I don't like the direction we're going." He doesn't have to explicitly say, "Trade me." That's enough to warrant that. And I think for the Knicks end, they're like, "Yeah, screw it. Why not?" Like they have the short-term mentality that they think, "You don't want to be here? You think you're too good for us? Oh, you're out of here." Like it's almost so. I think of a little child running the Knicks management. That's what it seems like. It's almost like an immature kid that's like, "Oh, you know something? If you don't like me, you don't like playing for me, screw you, right? I'm just going to trade you on an
New
RB."
York, everybody wants to play
Exactly.
for us.
You don't want to be here. You're not dying to play for us. Like, man, we'll get into it, but the Knicks, they do
trash.
It's trash, man. Like they do house like one of the biggest markets in the NBA, but the way they're just managing their players, I think it does their fans a disservice.
The fact that Tim Hardaway's in this deal, and I get it, like, yeah, you want to clear the cap space anyways, he would have had to go. But you just signed him to a huge deal.
Yeah, that was
now you're giving up your best asset to get rid of that contract that they made.
Man, like to some extent, I can see how this is almost a clean slate for the Knicks. I get it, but
they drafted Tim Hardaway. They let him go to Atlanta, and then they re-signed him to a huge deal. I don't understand.
It's just
the one thing that we could see that the Knicks did learn from was that they at least got 2 picks back. Because before they would trade every single pick that they had to try to quote unquote win now. But I don't know, man. I think we can go on forever of talking about the Knicks, but no one knows what's gonna happen.
No one knows, man. Unless they have some type of unwritten agreement, man. Like who knows? But I feel as though, like for this is a multi-million-dollar move. Like this is gonna affect billions of dollars, right, of contracts. This is gonna affect. I really hope. Like it's sad to see a team become this dysfunctional. Like a part of me kind of hopes that the Knicks actually they get something back because this just ruins their city, man. Like
but they've been dysfunctional for decades. This isn't new.
They had KP. They had a unicorn that had
even
a little
when
bit
they
of
had KP, like they weren't winning.
They were,
right?
but
they were putting. This is what they were putting around them, right? Like
this
Cantor. No,
Tim Hardaway.
Like what did they do? Like that. They drafted Frank Ntilikina. Like
that was brutal too. That's Knicks, man. That's Knicks fandom for you. We'll see.
Yeah, all right. Let's flip it over now to talk about the Dallas side because I think this is a lot more exciting, just from a pure fan standpoint, a pure NBA standpoint. The future's looking bright for them, man. You're pairing now Doncic with the unicorn.
Yo, this is
young unicorn that's yet to be in his prime. Yes, he's coming back from ACL injury, but the things that this guy's done on the court is ridiculous. So are we looking at the new Steve Nash and Dirk?
Yo, man, the remixed 2.0 version. You've got a 19-year-old player in Doncic. You've got a 23-year-old in KP. They both come from the Euro side of the league or from the Euro side of the world, and you can just imagine the chemistry they're going to have. It's going to be so exciting to watch. I think they're under great ownership under Mark Cuban. And with Dirk's last year, I think he can impart a lot of wisdom just on those two together. Man, Dallas, I think they fleeced this deal. They definitely, if I'm going to give them a grade, I got to give them an A+. If maybe even not an A++, because this is like, to land a once-in-a-generational player for getting rid of what?
Dennis Smith Jr.
Dennis Smith Jr., right? Like don't get me wrong, Dennis Smith Jr., he's got some upside, but he wasn't going to fit playing besides Doncic anyways. The minutes weren't going to be there. Wesley Matthews, unfortunately not the greatest upside, and DeAndre Jordan, a 1-year contract. This is great, man. Like those 2 future firsts aren't going to be worth much, especially if they're going to go on the run that we expect them to be. So Dallas, man, applause all around. I think they pulled off an incredible trade, and I think they're setting themselves up for an incredible future ahead.
Yeah, I agree. They have to have an A+ just because they got the best player in the deal. But they also got the second best player probably in Tim Hardaway Jr.
True. That's
and
a good
I
point.
think Tim Hardaway Jr.,
Underrated.
with the Knicks, he's thrust into that first option and super inefficient. He shouldn't be a number 1 option. Like if you think about any sort of good team, he's probably a second or third option, really. So he's just going to be catching passes from Doncic, setting him up.
And he's a good shooter, too. He's a solid shooter.
He doesn't have to worry about handling the ball and like creating everything on his own. So
he's a more athletic Wes Matthews. Younger, more athletic Wes Matthews.
I agree. Very similar to Wes Matthews, but just younger.
Ability, he can give you those scoring bursts. And,
so they look like they have a pretty good roster too. You have Doncic, point guard, Tim Hardaway Jr.,
Shooting
Harrison
guard,
Barnes,
3.
They
KP
have
play
some
4 or 5.
Yeah, and then
Dwight
you
Powell
have
at the 4 or 5 as well.
Kleber and like other people. So like they pretty good, pretty good upside.
Man. Yeah, Ben, what do you think, man?
Yeah, man. I think we all said it. Dallas, they saw that the Knicks were bleeding, man, and they jumped in. They scooped up.
They swooped in quick, man.
Yo, listen, man. When you see an advantage, big ups to Mark Cuban and his team, man, for making that call because, like, Dallas is also another one of those teams where they've been struggling to get like big names in the past. So I know they got DJ this offseason, but for them to aggressively go out and get KP, now all of a sudden they become that much more attractive.
You know what I don't understand though? How did Dallas, like, it felt as though Dallas was the only team who was in consideration for this trade. Like, you didn't hear any rumors of any other team throwing, options at the Knicks. Because, to be fair, if teams knew, I can't imagine.
Guaranteed.
Every team would be
because
throwing at it.
the timeline was so tight.
So why? But why did it need to be?
Yeah.
Yeah, why did he? That's what. And why was Dallas? It seemed like Dallas was the only possible trade partner. When realistically, every other team in the league would want to trade for him. Like if I'm Phoenix, I'm throwing a shit ton at them, man. If I'm Brooklyn, I throw a lot. Like there's so many other teams that should have.
Raptors were wanting it.
Like so many teams could have made better offers too, which is shocking.
Yo,
but
Frankie.
you didn't hear a peep out of this.
You heard of inside news?
Inside news.
Yo, Mark Cuban, man, he's got ears everywhere.
Yo,
Yo,
power
he's
moves,
he's
yo.
tapping those wiretaps.
And that's what you got to give to the powerful ownership, right? Like
Yeah.
I feel like Dallas in the last few years, they've done good. Their management is good. They've stuck by their coach.
You know what the Mavs can do? So if they clear Harrison Barnes' salary, and if they clear Dwight Powell's salary, they have room for another max
One more max
this summer.
playing beside Luka Doncic and also the one unicorn. And there's also been a rumor that they might be going for the full Euro lineup of Nikola Vucevic. Can you imagine that lineup?
You know who they should get though?
Mirotic?
Do you know who played?
Mirotic is good.
We were talking about this in our WhatsApp group. Do you know who went to college in Texas? So if
that's
you think
also
about they're
a
getting
point.
rid of
KD? Or who's talking
The
about?
one big free agent that
KD.
played out of Texas Longhorns,
He can go
Kevin Durant. How crazy would that be, man?
if they get rid of
crazy.
Harrison Barnes, they need a small forward.
Yeah. But can you just imagine
KD be
being
perfect on that team.
Yeah, he would.
Like think of being a free agent.
You
this
have
season,
the
though, man.
original unicorn in KD plus
The new one.
the black and the white unicorns combined. That's
And the old one in Dirk.
Yeah, but and again, like to all your points, man, like Dallas is going to become a great free agent spot this summer, right? Like if you think about it, you've got these young upstart kids, you've got a great ownership in the back. Dallas is like lower state taxes. There's huge incentives to be in that city. Dude, they've got a winning culture and they've got space.
So let me ask you. So KP has come out to say that he's going to sign the qualifying offer, the 1 year qualifying offer, and become a. Is he going to be a restricted free agent?
You
in
become
2020?
free agent by signing
unrestricted.
Yeah,
unrestricted.
unrestricted
Yeah.
free
So
agent.
unrestricted in 2020. Would you be concerned if you're the Mavs because this could essentially end up being like a 1 or 2 year rental?
It's true, but I think given the history you have and just the roster you have too, like you have Dirk as such a good ambassador for futures, especially for the EuroLeague players. Like he is the best face you can show to all these EuroLeague players, and just in terms of the loyalty you've dedicated to a player. And you've also got this young upstart in Luka Doncic. That's one of the best rookies we've seen in years, right? Like for sure, there's a risk in, is this guy going to be a rental? Is he going to walk away in a year? But you've got so much going for you guys. I think with Dallas, man, you ride the risk. I think it's an easy risk to take. For me, no hezzy at all. Yeah. No hezzy.
Yeah, I think if you're the Mavs, you have to call this bluff by KP. Like, yes, he's probably like, I'm going to bet on myself. I want to keep my options open. But realistically, like as Frankie was saying, you get to play with one of the best young players in the NBA in Luka Doncic, and he complements him perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, Doncic wants to make plays for the whole team and get everyone better.
He makes the right passes, man.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, this is, I don't know. Yes, you're maybe a little bit worried, just, worried enough that you don't get complacent if you're the Mavs. But honestly, I can't see KP want to go anywhere else than where he's going to be.
Yeah, I agree. And also, like, there's been no indication that KP wants to sign elsewhere, right? Like, a lot of times when superstars come out, like, example, like AD, they have this list of preferred destinations. KP never said that. He just said he wanted to be part of a winning franchise, and clearly, the Knicks aren't it. So I agree with you. I think it's a risk that any team needs to go for when you have a player of that caliber, especially the fact that he's still so young.
Yeah.
I mean, like the health risks, especially with like athletic tall bigs, that is.
He was never like the healthiest guy, right? Like
It's true.
He's always
It's true.
banged up.
It's true,
But he was fast, man. KP before that injury, like for a 7-footer going like from offense to defense, it was crazy. Like it was rare to see a 7-footer with the length that he had and the speed. I just hope he gets healthy, man, and I think it's going to be a great roster playing with Luka coming up.
Agreed. You guys know where to find us: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, as well as on our website, mobucketspodcast.com. All right, cool. So until next week, then, I guess keep getting buckets to all our listeners.
Peace.